So pretty exciting day today, because if you have guessed that I am being driven around today in my own car, it's not really a guess, because obviously my penis can be driving the car all the way up front from here. So indeed what we are doing is being driven to Lamborghini Palm Beach, where we are going to go pick up my latest hack. Now, if you've been following me since the early stages of Exotic Car Hacks, you've definitely seen an evolution, and that evolution is the power of going from $100,000 cars like R8s, like 570Ss, Gallardos and stuff, to now being in a position to buy multiple hypercars slash supercars that are in the $700 to $3 million range. So it's a pretty exciting evolution, and part of that, people get confused sometimes when they look at my life story and they go, well, basically he's just doing YouTube and that's how he's getting rich. I mean, let's be clear about it. I wish YouTube was paying me clearly enough to be able to do that, right? But it's not the case. And as a matter of fact, one of my best business decisions ever in my life is that I literally forfeit this idea of being a circus monkey, meaning like being an individual that just has to create content to be relevant in today's space, and instead decided to create real value through a lot of real businesses, and as a result then sharing my passion for cars and these businesses through my social media and online platforms. So I don't rely on content revenue, I don't rely on any type of dollar or ad dollar here in order to be able to be in a position to continue to do the things I do. But if you've been following me for a while, then you've watched this evolution take its place, and it's got to be pretty self-reflective to watch this, because you can ultimately look at your own journey over the last few years and really answer this question: were you the best you could have been? And I think this is the key question that has enabled me to get here today, in a position to be able to be driven right here in the back of a brand new 22 Black Badge Ghost that I use as a daily driver, and ultimately go pick up my new Chiron. So, I want you to think that through, because one of the biggest obstacles for me when I was in that 100K phase was that I was so focused on the ideology that I had to try to keep up buying better cars. But remember that I introduced a hacking methodology where you can ultimately still have fun with all these cars and not lose any money. And if you've watched the last year or so, you've watched me pick up multiple Sennas, you've watched me pick up a P1, a lot of new cars like the SF90s by the numbers, including multiple SVJs, STOs, etc. And I still have the majority of these cars, but I recently got rid of my Senna and my P1. And one of the big questions I get from people is why? And as you know, a lot of people are talking about the recession or the car market changing. And I've been saying time and time again that the hypercar and collector car markets are not changing, and they're very unlikely to change going forward in the next 12 to 24 months. So why did I get rid of two very collectible cars? Well, two reasons. Partially is because I'm doing something very different with my collection now. I just acquired a new space. This is going to expand with the amount of cars I can have. So I decided to consolidate those larger hypercars that were on the older side, meaning not as exciting as something like a Chiron, and there's another surprise coming later, hopefully next week or the week after. But I decided to do two pretty heavy, badass hypercars, and then leave the rest of my collection to be incredibly collectible, discontinued, near impossible to get cars for the rest. And now that I've acquired a new space, I can literally double up the collection with not just modern exotics, but also with classics and things that I've always wanted to collect, but never had the space to do. So you've noticed now that the P1 is now gone. It brought a record number. The Senna is also gone. The first Senna is gone, the red one, and that also brought a very good number for what it was. Both were very profitable and put almost $300,000 in my pocket that I was able to now recycle into now this next car. Now, this next car certainly isn't $300,000. You can add a zero to that, but the main ideology behind buying a Chiron was this idea that if I was going to have one car that was going to be extreme, right? It was either going to be a Bugatti or something else, and I guess something else, if everything works out next week or the week after, will be here as well. But this particular thing is a pretty good milestone or step in the car collection, because it is the most expensive car that I have now purchased for myself to actually drive and for personal use, not for resale or anything else. And while I may resell it down the road if I get bored of it or don't like it, for now I intend to keep it as a part of the collection. So we will see how it plays out. You heard in my other video my thoughts on the P1 and the Senna. I thought the Senna was one of the most underrated cars of all time. The P1 just for some reason, me and the P1 didn't click that well, meaning it wasn't an exciting car to drive. It didn't give me excitement, and I don't think it aged as well as the 918 or the LaFerrari. So, you know, from one element, I think it was a very iconic and exciting car. From another element, it just didn't age well enough for me to enjoy it based on some of the newer stuff on the market, like the SF90, the SVJs, which I think are just better cars for significantly less money. So, exciting time ahead. We're gonna go ahead and continue onwards to our journey to picking up this Chiron. So in the next few minutes, we should be arriving at the dealership. A lot of questions usually come true, like, can you even finance a car like that? Should you be financing a Chiron? Should you buy it cash, etc.? Most people should know that the majority of hypercars are actually financed by people. Like they just don't know that. Now, there are obviously a lot of people that buy their cars cash as well, but you can easily finance like $600,000 to $1 million from a car, and the rest has to be cash. So once you get to these $2-3 million cars, maybe it doesn't make sense to finance because you're already shelling out $2-3 million. You know, depending on your cash flow, it may or may not make sense, but you can. So if you wanted to, it would be possible for you to, which is assuming your credit profile will match it. You previously had 400K or 500K loans, and you could easily kind of work up to that. But the main thing to consider, though, is that in general, cars that are over like probably about $1.5 million are often paid in cash, and then cars under that are often financed to some extent, right? But anyways, so that's kind of it. So, you know, I think that if you're going to be buying any type of hypercar, of course, you know, the maintenance comes with it. The Chiron has $11,000 tires. The reason I decided to pick up a Chiron over a Veyron was because the Veyron tires were as low as $30,000, but in most cases over $40,000 to do. And also the maintenance schedule and the cost of repairs on a Veyron are significantly more than a Chiron, which is basically a glorified Audi product. But there's also some kind of element of the Chiron being the last potentially non-electric assisted car from Bugatti, which was kind of the exciting element there, which I thought was undervalued. Chirons can still be bought at or around or under sticker, which is, again, a pretty good bet when you see a LaFerrari going for like 3x of sticker, or you see a 918 going for 2x of sticker, and so on and so forth. So I think the Chiron value there, even though it's a more expensive product, still holds a lot of weight, and I think is relevant. And I think a lot of people are going to have to kind of realize that what I've been saying, which is that the car market has changed significantly in the last few years. And as a result of that, we have to look at how we look at what we buy very differently than what we did back in the day. Remember, back in the day, we could buy a Bentley or a Rolls Royce like this and get 100K off right out of the factory, and things are different now. And while we can still get discounts, certainly not the same level, and there's a lot less inventory, and things are not going to go back to normal anytime soon. So expect, you know, a softening car market, but don't expect collectible, hard-to-get items to still be discounted heavily like we once got used to back 2 to 3 years ago. So I hope you're as excited as I am. We're about to go see my new Chiron. We're going to arrive shortly, and it's going to be an exciting time. So stay tuned. All right, let's get to it. All right, guys, here we are. Here we are. So pretty exciting right now because we are about to go and see my Chiron live right here on the channel for the very first time. So follow me inside. Super excited, really excited, because I don't know if you guys know, but these are my two favorite colors, pearl white and baby blue. So let's see what we're able to find here and why this was just such a perfect fit. Look at it. Can you see it through there? Look at this. Look at this. We had our friend Elio over at Elio Lifestyles do the whole PPF on it, but without further ado, here is the ultimate $3 million Chiron. Look at it. It's just insane. It is just spectacular. So I couldn't be more excited to take this for a drive today and obviously take it home. But yeah, it's actually funny because the first time I saw this car walk in this dealership, it was right here. And I walked in, and I remember because I was speccing a Technica that's coming very soon, and I walked in and I said, man, this thing is like brutally hot because it's got the color and everything else. And then I was like, yeah, I don't know, I'm not gonna get into the $3-4 million cars, because I was like, it just doesn't make sense to put that much money towards one car. But then I kept coming back, and then eventually here we are. So you guys tell me, we're gonna have a full review right here on our next video when we go for a drive and enjoy it a little bit. I would love to know your thoughts right now. Go to the comment section, let me know, how hot is this spec? Let me give you a very quick tour of it. Come over here and take a look. You're gonna see that the interior has white, dove, and the baby blue, carrying through the baby blue calipers. And then you have the carbon fiber following everywhere. And the car is actually pearl white with the baby blue calipers, which I think looks absolutely spectacular. So again, you guys tell me what your thoughts are about this spec. And of course, stay tuned for future videos. But let me know, like, subscribe, turn on notifications. And if you want to learn how to get in and out of exotics, and of course not lose any money, just go ahead and click the link in the description, and that will give you an opportunity to actually take my free training on how to do this. And if anything, if you're actually coming to Fort Lauderdale to see us for our luxury asset summit, you'll be able to see this parked right outside. But it might look a little different because we're gonna start modding it starting Monday morning. So stay tuned for more videos, and the mod's coming soon. I'll catch you in the next video for Exotic Car Hacks.